Here's your video for the remainder of what we're going to do in class on Thursday. So I think we're at we're 137, going through line 156. So I've schematized it for you, and I'll just run through a translation. I'm not going to reference so much the stuff. I'm going to try not to reference the stuff that's in the notes in your textbook for time's sake, and also so that you actually have to use your textbook and go look and learn something. But I'll point out as much as I can rhetorical devices and whatnot, but I also don't want this video to be forever long. So here we go. Okay, so we just had the part where Neptune is yelling at the winds because they've disobeyed him by obeying Aeolus instead. He's super upset, and so he's still yelling at them. So he's using these imperatives, and he is saying, let me get my laser pointer. All right, so he's saying, hasten your flight and tell these things to your king, right? When meaning Aeolus, right? So he's like, tell Aeolus that I say this. He says, not to him has the power of the sea and the cruel trident been given, but to me by lot. Meaning he was like, do you remember the mythological story of how Neptune, Pluto, and Jupiter determine who's going to be in charge of what realm? They like draw lots, and Pluto gets the short end of the stick, literally, and gets the underworld, and Jupiter and Neptune get the heavens and the sea. So that's the by lot that he's talking about. So he's saying, Illa, he holds the huge rocks, and your homes, Eurus, talking, east wind. This is a subjunctive here, right? So let Aeolus boast himself in that palace. Aula can be a wing, or a courtyard or something, but here it's being used as a palace. So he's saying, like, let him boast about himself in his own lands, and let Aeolus rule in the closed prison of the winds, right? So he's sort of belittling him, and he's sort of like, yeah, let him have his little domain and play with his little toys. I'm going to deal with the sea. That's my job. And now we have the super famous simile to a speaker calming a crowd. And this is like one of the moments in the Aeneid that really marks it out as being a propaganda piece for Augustus. So let's start reading it. Okay, so he yells at the winds, and it's like, thus he spoke, and he more quickly than a word. This is an ablative of comparison. Here you have a comparative adverb. So more quickly than a word, he calms the swollen sea. That's plural. The swollen seas, neuter plural. And he scatters the gathered clouds. Notice, here's a little word picture for you, Kaylin. Notice that the scattering is literally breaking apart collectos and nubes. So he is scattering the gathered clouds, literally, with the verb for scattering. And he leads back the sun. So he brings back a nice sunny day, the clouds all go away, oh, that rhymed, and it's a lovely day again. Storm's over. At the same time, Cymothoe, there's a fun word for you, and Triton, having leaned from a sharp, that having leaned, I guess they're leaning in, they dislodge the ships from the sharp rock. Cymothoe is a nymph, water nymph, that's part of Neptune's court, and Triton is another little hanger-on of Neptune. And he himself lifts with his trident, we assume the ships, it doesn't say the ships, but he lifts the ships with his trident, All right, let me think. Okay, so he himself lifts the ships with his trident, and here we go. He opens the vast sandbars. Again, look, the verb opening is in between the vast sandbars. He's literally opening them up. And he calms the sea. So there's a lot of this, like, right, he's like calming the sea. And again, he calms the sea. And it's like so repetitive. Anyway. And he skims the wave tops. It's sort of the top waves with light wheels. And now here's the simile. This is it, starting in line 148 and going on. And just like in a great crowd, when a riot often has risen, here seditio is, did you guys in U.S. history, did you learn about the Alien and Sedition Acts? Sedition comes from seditio, right? So it's this like subversive, disobedience. Let's see, and the ignoble vulgus, right? The ignobile vulgus, that's the common crowd, right? The unnoble vulgar ones, right? They rage in their minds, and already torches and rocks are flying. So this is, you guys may have seen images of this in the news recently in the last few months. Hong Kong, the riots in Hong Kong. There are riots in like almost every country in South America. They're rioting in France or protesting in France. There's all these, I mean, it seems global that there are these riots. And so picture that. It's a riot in the streets of Rome. And madness provides, it administrates, right? It administers the weapons. So, necessity is the mother of all invention, right? So people will just pull up paving stones and they pull up tree branches and, they grab anything in the road and they start throwing it, torches and rocks. And so you have this image of a riot. And then, as if by chance, they catch sight of some man. This should say, kind of aliquem, right? Of some man, serious, grawem, serious in his piety, in his devotion, and his meritis, his worthiness. So all of a sudden, this guy appears on the scene as if by chance. And silent. If you can't guess what silent means, we're in real trouble, right? They are silent. And they adstand, right? They stand by with arectis auribus, literally like with raised ears, like they're dogs or something, with perking up their ears, waiting for this man to speak. And illa, right? He, that man who's distinguished in some way by his pietate. Aeneas is always described as pious. He rules their minds with words, and he softens their hearts. So the idea behind rhetoric is that you can convince people to listen to you, to follow you, to have, you can gain power over them by speaking in an artistic and beautiful and effective way. And so he's describing a man like this. And oh man, I've been missing all the chiasmus and stuff in here. So in line 153, you've got A, B, B, A, right? So you got a chiasmus here. And if I go back to line 147, you have A, B, A, B. So you got a synthesis. Trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to talk about here. Well, I'll just have to tell you guys in class if I think about anything. We had this wild storm where the oars were breaking and men were praying to the gods and men were drowning in the sea and it was dark. The sun had been stolen from the sky and all this stuff. And then you have Neptune coming in and he just calms everything and he reestablishes order and he reestablishes that he's the one in charge and no one should question his authority. And then we have this simile that talks about a powerful man coming in and calming a riot. This is very clearly and on purpose a reference to Augustus and Augustus's skill as a leader. So this is Virgil Virgil and Augustus both knew this. Like, this was definitely a compliment to Augustus, referencing his past, referencing his ability to, he fought in a civil war, and he was able to win that, right? Antony and Cleopatra, he's able to overcome them. An upstart, right? If you consider Antony an upstart who's seizing power that doesn't belong to him, it was granted to Augustus by Julius Caesar, right? Like, if you think about it's mine, it's my power by lot, right? So if that's Caesar giving his power to Augustus, and then Mark Antony is seizing power, right? And Augustus just puts him down and puts him in his place. And so this is all a reference to Roman history. So this is a really important passage to know for the AP exam, and just for context of the Aeneid, because it really makes the case that this is one big propaganda piece. All right, so your next task is to prep lines 157 through 179. Use your resources. There are videos from Ben Johnson on Latin tutorial. Use your textbook, use each other, and I will see you on Monday. Here's our last couple lines. Okay, so seek, right? So thus, the cunctus fragor, the whole uproar, pelagi of the sea, cecedit, subsides, falls away. And the genitor, the father, the progenitor, looking out over the sea after this, right? Afterwards, the father looking out over the sea, having been carried in vectus from Weho, Wehera, having been carried into the open sky, the sky having been opened, he turns his horses, flying, the horses, I assume, no, he's flying, he gives reins to the obedient chariot. So Neptune has seen his good works. He looks out over it, the calm and bright, sparkling, clean sea, the rescued ships, and you can almost imagine him giving a quick nod, turning his horses, and then flying away back to wherever it is gods of the sea hang out. So you have this like beautiful imagery of just